Yogi Clan, what's up, y'all? I am back in the garage again with Miss Piggy, and we got something in store for you tonight. So when you squeeze this, I ain't got no light back there. Let's check. Turn it on. Hit the brake light down here. Light lights up. Hit the brake light here. Nothing. Nada. So we have from Drag Specialties a new switch. It comes with all the wiring, so we have two choices. You either cut it out of there and solder it in, or we run it all the way down through the handlebars. I'm thinking I'm probably just going to cut it and solder it in because I really don't feel like pulling wires. So let's pull this out of the package. I have two jobs to do tonight. One, I would like to change out this switch. And two, I need to wash that garage door because this is nasty. And I figured you'd probably rather watch me replace this brake light switch than wash your garage door. So that's why you're here. Anyways, we got a brake light switch, and look, dude, that comes with like a lot of wire. That's plenty to go through the whole handlebar. So before we do it, you can see the little button on there. Your little brake light switch is on. Before we cut anything, we're gonna go ahead and open this housing up and see how much room we have to work with before we decide to cut anything. But while we prepare to do that, I'm going to put you right here on a mount like that so you can watch me work up here. I think it'll be a much better angle and you can see a lot more. So why don't we roll the intro while we switch some camera positions. Be right back. All right, Yogi Clan, here we are back at the housing right here. But let's show you first off what we have set up. Over here on the table, I got my extension cord to use with the soldering iron. We have a box here of shrink tubing, which we'll be using. We got a Allen for pulling off the clamp if we need to, and we got Torx. I think it's a T25. We got flux, we've got solder, and we've got wire cutters. So let's go over here, put the wire cutters down, and let's start getting this assembly taken apart. Take that one out. Where should we put this? Tell you what, let's take this Drag Specialties box. We'll pull all our hardware inside of there. Sounds good. All right, next. Torx bit number 2. Right, so we're going to use an adjustable. Hold on to our nut there. And a 3/8 inch to break this free. Okay, broken free. Spin that out. Same process we did when we put the grips on. All right. Now with slack in there, you can loosen up these two wires, get the ferrules out. Be sure not to lose these. Remember last time we dropped that bugger on the floor? Don't want to do that again. So that's off. Take the hand grip off. And we should be able to loosen this up. Should be able to drop this down. There we go. Should be a screw. A retainer clip down on the bottom there. You'll see the screw. Okay. Remove that screw, which should allow us to remove this. Oh, there we go. Lift up that retainer clip, and we should be able to pull this out. There's a little shim on the side there to kind of hold it in place. I want to keep that. Push that button in, pop the little guy out. Now I'm looking at this, you see that's tore up there. Let's turn on the tail light. Mess with this button, press, release, nothing happening. Not a thing. So, the wiring looks good. That might be a little sketch there. Might just cut it. Let's cut it. You know what? Since we got that much slack, let's cut it right here. I'm going to stagger these and cut it right there. I'm going to stagger these two cuts. Put one there. Put one there. We're going to test that to make sure that that's not the problem. Okay? All right, so we're going to take this one. We're going to twist these two together. Just to see what happens. And we're going to twist these two together. See what happens. All right, let's pick this up. And we're going to press and hold this in like the brake is in normal position. Okay, so if we let go, that light should light up. Let go. Oh, look at that. Lights up. Press on. So here we go. Look at that, they match each other. What do you know? Fancy that. All right, so with that in mind, I didn't disconnect these two. So we know the old switch is the problem. So the red one's the longer ones. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this one off about here. And cut this one off about here. Okay, our new switch is ready. With the gun plugged in, let's cut us some heat shrink tubing. I'll show you how I do the soldering. I'm going to take one of these, stick it down here on this end, run it all the way down as far from the solder joint as possible so the heat doesn't shrink it. One there. Okay, and go to the short one. This is the way I do it. I make an X, cross them over, wrap this one around, wrap this one around. Same thing for the other side. Wrap this one around and then wrap that one around. So you don't want any of these frayed ends sticking up, so be sure to press all that down because that will prevent your heat shrink tubing from sliding over it. We're gonna open up our can of flux. Now the important thing is after you solder this, you want to be really careful when you're reassembling this controls, because it's real easy to pinch a wire. And if you pinch a wire, you run the risk of breaking the wire. And then you'll have to reopen this back up again. So I'm going to coat this in flux. That one's coated. That one's coated. And we're going to use 6040 rosin core solder for this. So I'm going to get a length of solder ready. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dip this in the flux. Then I'm going to prep it by putting a little solder on the tip, melting a little solder on there, getting it ready. I'm going to touch it to here. And put the solder up on there. Gun's probably still not quite hot yet. There it goes, sucked it all down. Get another length out. Dip it in. Get it. I think they call that tinning it. I could be wrong. Once that that flux is boiling on there, it just starts melting that solder. There you go. Before we seal this up and button it up, let's turn it on. Our brake light should be lit right now. Grab the switch, press, off, on, off, on, off, on. Looks like we're working. Slide the heat tape over it. 1, 2. We're gonna use our handy little crack lighter. Little crack torch. And heat this up. Shrink that tubage. Now we want to very gently, first off, take this without tearing the rubber boot. That's your goal. You put it up against here, press, gently slide it down in there, There we go. I'll put this spacer back in. So I'm going to use this jeweler's screwdriver to kind of move this over. There we go. That is in. That is out. And the boot looks pretty good. Okay. So we got that put back together. Let's now work on this tiny little screw down in his little hole. And with this wiring, I'm going to try to tuck it gently as possible back down into the bottom, trying not to pinch anything. So from here, it's probably easier now to loosen up this clamp because I don't want this break. You'll tear that rubber right out of that button. All right, I think that'll close. So let's go ahead, keep this to the side. I always put the throttle cable on first because it seems to be a little bit shorter. Okay, got the throttle on, got the idle on. Get this set place where we're happy with it. There we go. Get these two started, get them loosely holding so we can adjust everything. Before we tighten it down, just check all functions. I think we just popped the fuse. Yeah. Look at that, shoot it right off. Had a little bit of a snafu. We had put it back together, clamped it back together, and wound up having a wire pinch, so we wound up pulling it back apart and resetting it. So let's test again. Turn signal not freaking working. You're kidding me. Son of a bugger. Sure as crap. Pop the ignition again. Ugh. I give up. Alright, Yogi Clan, here's the deal. Started this video, I had my microphone in and somehow that didn't turn on. Soldered the new switch in there, putting it all back together. One of the wires got pinched and got cut when the clamp clamped down. Pulled it apart again, soldered a new wire. Tried to put it together again, and it just was not working with me. It was fighting me. Wound up taking the brake assembly off. I figured I could get the clamshell housing back together better that way. Put it back together. Everything looked great. Put the handlebar clamp on. Go to hit the ignition, and again, I'm popping fuses. I've gone through 3 fuses so far, and I'm getting frustrated. Now that I'm getting frustrated, I think now is a great point in time to stop. And the reason why I'm stopping instead of going on is because, you know, I put these handlebars on 14 years ago, probably 13 years ago, and since that point in time, I've had, you know, switches have gone bad, so I've pulled the handlebars apart, cut it out, soldered in new switches. Turn signals have gone bad, switches have gone bad, pulled them out, cut it apart, soldered in new switches. So in that handlebar area right there where that clamshell is, there's just a lot of solders. going on in that general area. And I really don't like it. And I think that's what's causing me problems. You know, sometimes you go to do the work and not everything works out the way you want it to. And when you start getting frustrated like that, sometimes it's best just to take a break. So my goal is I'm going to pull this handlebar off. I'm going to pull that whole wiring harness out. We're going to solder in a whole new wiring harness. I think that's a much cleaner, neater, better way to handle this. I just hope I have enough leads left off the switches. I might even just go out and buy a new turn signal switch and a new start run switch. Might do that, and that way I got all fresh new lines, and we'll run everything fresh. I think that would probably be a better move. And I can probably get it with full length leads, so I won't have to do any soldering at all except for the very end after I pull them through the handlebars, which may be the way we go about doing it, because I don't want to put this back together and then have another switch set go out in a couple weeks anyway. So let's stop where we are now. Let's evaluate the situation, look at getting some switches probably next week, and we're going to take care of the handlebar risers at the same time. So we'll record this in 2 videos. We're going to do the switches and the handlebars as one video, and the handlebar risers as a separate video. So 2 videos coming. We're going to fix all these problems. But you know, like I said, sometimes you do the best you can, it just doesn't work. So I'm here to admit my faults, be honest with you. I could easily scrap this video, but I think we're still going to put it out there to prove a point. That sometimes it doesn't always work the way you hope it does. But you stop, you take a break, you clear your head, and then you dive back in when you got your head on straight. So we'll do that. Alright? Alright, Yogi Clan. Thank you for watching. Hope you like, hope you subscribe. Stay tuned, we'll get this fixed. We'll get past this. I'll catch you soon. Peace.